I remember quite clearly when I got into this whole storytelling business. I was working for IBM at the time. They'd engaged me or employed me to run their knowledge management practice. And it was interesting because I was actually started off in the Lotus IT area, but they engaged me because I knew nothing about that technology. So that was kind of a relief. But one of the first jobs I had to do was actually set up a seminar and organise a really good speaker around knowledge management. So you know what you do, you get into all your networks, looking at all the different people in IBM who might be good. And there was this one fellow who kept on coming up as a guy who really knew knowledge management, but was a fascinating speaker. And his name was Dave Snowden. And he was based in the UK, a Welshman actually. And so I sent him an email and I said, look, Dave, do you have a video or something like that I can show my customers here in Canberra? And he said, oh, I can do much better than that. I'm coming out to Australia in a few weeks. You know, why don't you organise a seminar? So I thought, oh, fantastic. So I organised this seminar in Old Parliament House, actually. It was a lovely venue. But the amazing thing, Dave arrived on the day of the seminar. He'd flown all the way from the UK, just arrived into Canberra Airport, I think it was at 7 o'clock in the morning, looking totally bedraggled. He's this bearded, fairly large guy. Had his suitcase, took it into the big auditorium that we were actually giving the presentation at, flipped open his suitcase at 7:30, stripped right down to his underwear, and I said, probably too much information, Dave, but put on this crumpled suit, and I thought, oh God, what's this day going to be like? You know, this guy just seems to be pretty laissez-faire. But he got ready, and we had about 150 people who turned up on the day, and he spoke for the whole day. No PowerPoint, no props, story upon story, talked about complexity science, talked about knowledge, talked about stories, how you tell them, how you elicit them. And I must admit, I sat there spellbound. I thought, this is what I want to do. What this guy's doing, this is what I want to do. And I was so excited by this presentation. That night, I sat down, I wrote this story. I thought, I've got this story in my head. I was actually doing some work for the Australian Tax Office at the time. We were helping them design their intelligence process. And we had this fabulous team. So I thought, what if I tell this story about the characteristics of this team? It might act as a good learning story. So I sat down, I wrote this story, and I shot it off to Dave, emailed it to him. And I saw him, Dave, about 2 days later. And he said, oh, got your story. That was amazing turnaround, Shawn, but you know what? You totally missed the point. I went, oh, what do you mean I missed the point? He says, I'm not interested in your stories. I'm not interested in writing stories. I'm interested in eliciting and gathering stories and helping people make sense of their own stories. This is not about storytelling. This is about story listening and making sense of that and seeing what patterns there are in a whole bunch of stories. And I guess that was my first real lesson in narrative techniques, and it's really stuck with me ever since then. Well, of course, Dave and I then became colleagues within IBM and started to develop this even further, and we still keep in close contact. He's one of the great guys, if you like, in the knowledge management and narrative space.